go.
Morning, Dan.
Guten Morgen.
How are you doing?
Guten Morgen.
Ja.
Ja.
I'm all right.
Very aggressive.
It's German.
Very aggressive. Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you doing?
Quite all right, thank you.
Welcome to our little dungeon.
Yeah.
In the basement here.
Dungeon.
It's cozy.
It's not like,
There's no bondage in there.
yeah, it's not like your
Yeah.
basement. And
No.
it's not quite the Fritzl basement, which I know you Europeans are into. But it'll do.
I'll have to.
So, nice to see you.
You too.
So we thought we'd talk about collecting and costuming, the two things intertwined, because you do that.
That I do. Yeah.
So, I mean, we've talked to people about collecting.
Yeah.
And we've talked to people about costuming. But you do both on quite a scale. So we thought, is it a chicken and egg story? Which came first?
Not for me, because I can tell you which came first.
That's what I wanted to hear.
Yeah. It definitely started with the costuming part, or rather the building stuff, and then wear it.
I was going to say, because it's like
Take it out.
you cover all three, because you
Yeah.
make the stuff, you collect it, and you costume it.
Yeah. And I mean, it all started with R2 for me, the R2 Builders Club. So I built an R2, and I knew I wanted to take him out and do events with him. That was the sole purpose of
Take him out.
What?
Take him out.
Yeah. Now take him out to events, not kill R2. And that was my very first big project. And that led me into
That's a good one to start with, because if you can build an R2,
yeah, you can.
you
There's
can
nothing that scares you
you a
anymore.
3D print.
Yeah, nothing scares you after an R2 build. And it took me about 2 years, so it's not like I mean, it wasn't like a quick thing, which also prepared me for a lot of things in the costuming collector's world.
The waiting.
Like patience came with the project. So that's what I started with, and then I got involved in what I call organized fandom, all the groups, and basically I found people in my area that do a monthly Star Wars get-together, where Star Wars is just like a loose connection that everyone has, and then they
Was this still at the R2 stage, or is this?
that was at the R2 stage.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Loose connection.
Yeah.
Like, he's been a bit vague, isn't he?
Yeah.
It's like, oh yeah, a group of people used to meet. Was it in a car park?
Nah,
Okay.
usually in a restaurant.
Okay. Public place.
Yeah, a dinner. It's not.
So
Yeah,
it's
it's not.
safe then. Safe.
It wasn't that kind of costuming, and R2 wouldn't really fit in there.
Although last week we did.
R2 will fit in anywhere if you're brave enough.
True.
We did.
With patience.
We did go to a Star Wars meet last week, which was interesting.
You did. I didn't.
Yeah, that was interesting. So we were in that territory.
You went to that Cleveley's place.
Yeah.
I've only seen a couple of pictures online, I think.
Yeah, it was interesting. It wasn't like an organised event or costuming troop or anything. It was just a lot of Star Wars people meeting in a car park. I mean, filming location.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm with you. I'm on
lots of meat at the meet.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, so R2 was where I started. Then I got involved with that dinner group. And that's what it's called. They call it Star Wars Dinner.
Okay.
And there was people there from the 501st, from the German garrison. And by chance, I got offered a Stormtrooper kit by someone who actually moved to Australia. And it was super cheap. And that's what
Madonna just died.
Madonna died.
No.
Ah, okay.
It's an emergency. So I got that Stormtrooper, and it was like an FX recast armor that didn't really fit together. These guys tried to help me build it, but we couldn't really, we kind of bolted it together, but it was crap. It was really crap. But it got me in the 501st, because at that point, people didn't care that much. But I did. So I wore this for one time. Felt embarrassed. It was horrible. It kept falling apart. I was like, this is shit. I just put it in a box, forgot about it. And I did events with R2 for maybe a year and a half. And thought, but you want to do the Stormtrooper thing and you want to do it right. And that's what got me down the Stormtrooper rabbit hole. And then I started buying kits from all the vendors that were there at that point. That was way before RS even existed. So, and I got all the helmets and all the armor, and I compared it and tried to get as close to what we see on screen as I could. And I built about maybe 6 sets for me, and just got rid of them instantly when I didn't like them, because there was always something off about them. And then Trooper Master came along with his sculpted A New Hope armor, and that was the best you could get at that point. And I got one of those and weathered it up, and I was quite happy with it. And then you guys came along. Well, we were in contact, you and I, about Boba Fett stuff. And then you said, "Oh, there's a guy claiming to have an original suit," and nobody believed it. And then, well, the rest is history. You can see it on that channel. And yeah, that's been my Stormtrooper suit ever since. And
So while you're at this point building all these different suits and everything, so what's your collection like at that point? From the collector's side.
Yeah, it wasn't that much of a collection yet.
But the first time we came over, there was a collection being displayed, and I mean, when we first saw it, we thought that's a cool collection. Nothing like it is today.
No.
But it was still really cool then.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a little small.
Yeah, it was
small
still,
room.
Yeah, it was still my room at my parents' place. So I was still a student living there, so I just had a small room.
Well, but see, that's the other thing. Just before we touch on that, you're now coming up to 25 next. So Star Wars had been around a long time before, before you were born.
Yeah.
How did you get into Star Wars, and why did you get into Star Wars?
Well, I can tell you how and why, because it's cool. I mean, I got into it as a kid. I was about 6 or 7, and a good friend of mine, well, a school friend of mine, he basically got all the vintage toys, which weren't vintage toys at that point. It was like early 90s. But he got all that stuff from his dad, who just gave it to him. And he had all the stuff. He had like the AT-AT, he had the Falcon, he had
Spoiled. Yeah, I know the
Ewok
I know the sort.
Village, everything, all the figures. He had the flashlight lightsabers, like the cheaper ones that were around at that time. But we had fun with those. We just
Sorry, to just
I bet you did.
A second, just to clarify, Dan said flashlight.
and did that. Yeah.
Yeah, just it very much sounded like flashlight to me.
It sounded like that. I was giggling away in the
Yeah,
I thought you said
I did that motion.
I thought you said flashlight on purpose.
No.
But you still had fun with them though.
Yeah, we did. Okay. Yeah, that's what got me into Star Wars.
Now that's
So no, he introduced me to Star Wars basically, and I still remember
with his
watching
flashlight lightsaber.
with the flashlight lightsabers. Yeah.
Okay. And then skip forward a few years. Then you're at the dinner meets. Okay.
Okay. My own flashlights.
Okay.
and R2
And R2 with his
flashlight.
with his computer probe
Yeah.
data port thing. What are we talking about here?
I just want to interrupt a second as well. Arnie, you are allowed to laugh. It's okay because you look like your head was going to explode then trying to keep the laugh. So.
All right.
So I'll just dive in because you're probably not listening to any of the podcasts. But what we try and do is we try and get you going, and then we try and derail you.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
that's the general.
I actually listened to them.
That's the general gist of it.
So getting back to your first getting into Star Wars.
Yeah.
So we're talking like mid-90s there.
Early to mid 90s. Yeah.
And then obviously 99.
So all the
Phantom Menace
Well,
comes out.
1997 was actually
power of the power of the Force figures.
Power
the
of
big-
the Force. Yeah, that's
He Luke.
Cause, yeah, exactly. My mate had all the vintage stuff, but he also got the new ones when they came out from the US because he had friends in the US or family in the US actually.
Did he have to smuggle them into East Germany then?
Yeah, well,
Okay.
West Germany. Well, that was Germany. Anyway, he got those from America. They weren't really in shops yet in Germany, but then they came over.
So he was definitely spoiled then.
And yeah, he was spoiled,
Okay.
like completely spoiled. He had all the video games. He had everything. He's like, they had a big house. He was a rich kid and a spoiled kid. He still hung around with me though, so something went wrong.
He needed to have a bit of cool in his life as well, didn't he?
Yeah, true. I don't know. I actually
You like
don't
the
know.
sidekick?
Yeah, sort of. Well, I don't know what happened to him actually. I've lost contact. So
He probably died young.
So yeah, we've got that. So in the timeline here now, we're
Yeah.
talking like mid-90s.
yeah,
Yeah.
So
And then
special
obviously-
edition came out.
Yeah, and then
And
Phantom Menace comes out.
Then Phantom Menace came out.
Your-
Of course, yeah. So
first-
were these your era then?
No, actually, well, when the Phantom Menace came out, I was 14, and I was living the hype, and then the movie came out and it didn't live up to the hype, so I felt a bit disillusioned and guilty in a way because I didn't like it as much as I thought I would, and I felt that must be me. And then
So is that why you're making up for it by liking all the new shit?
maybe I don't know. I don't think so. No.
See, I didn't really mind the prequel stuff when it came out. I just went along with it. I was a little bit older, so I could accept it
That's
for what
the
it
thing,
was.
When episode 2 came out, which is in my mind absolute
The best one,
rubbish.
the best
Rubbish.
of the, the rest of the prequels.
Yeah, absolute. No, absolutely not. I can't stand it. Just can't stand it.
What's
Sorry.
wrong with you?
That CGI, like, aged so. It looked shit when it came out, so can't even say it aged poorly
Well,
because it's still horrible.
we've just been talking about Indiana Jones off camera, and I think you're going to find that CGI is going to age super bad.
What, the new one?
Yeah,
Probably. Probably.
He doesn't even like Indiana Jones, so it's
super
Well, he
bad.
doesn't like anything.
no.
Well,
no. In fact, there is one scene with Indiana Jones where I thought, do you know what, that's just like Rob,
Which one?
where he's backing on that guy's door with his baseball bat going.
Yeah, true. Yeah.
Spoilers.
That was. Yeah.
Spoilers.
That was an
That's
insight to
really-
Rob's
that's like-
psyche.
Oh God, Indy's turned into Rob.
I don't want to see that.
What?
What, Indy turning into you?
Yeah, I don't want to see a moaning old Indy.
Well, then,
I just want to see the original films, and then that's it. I don't have to watch anything else.
fair enough.
So I'm not going
You
to
don't
do.
have to go.
I'm not going to do. I'm purposely boycotting it, and I employ that you do the same.
Well, I have already seen it.
I know.
so
I'm talking to the people
To
watching
everyone
and
else.
listening.
Go and watch
Yeah.
it. It's a
Go
bloody
watch it.
great
It's
film.
really good.
It's not really good, is it?
It is.
It's fun. I mean, it's not Raiders. It's not Last Crusade, but it's fun.
No, it's not. It's disappointing. Should never have been made.
No, I think you find that.
I think they should.
Crystal Skull.
I think they made up for Crystal Skull with this one.
Yeah, definitely.
It's better than Crystal Skull.
It's
Yeah,
better.
way better.
You think?
Yeah, most definitely.
It's not got Ray
It's
Winston in it. Or
I mean, it's not like
for a
it's
start.
it's not like it's hard to best Crystal Skull, but yeah, it's better.
I'm not convinced.
Well, we'll talk once it hits whatever Disney Plus. Are you still subscribed to?
No,
Okay, so you'll never see it, and then
never.
So that's all we're gonna ever talk about it.
Yeah.
It's good. Where were we? We were in the mid-90s.
Yes, we were.
So episode 1 came out. I wasn't too thrilled about it, and that
Episode
was
2 was even worse.
that was the point where I really got into music, like listening to it, playing music, all that.
That's when you went stalking Maiden, wasn't it?
That's when I started stalking Maiden. Yeah,
Which
is
which
actually the
incidentally is
reason why we're
you're in
here.
the UK. Yeah.
because
Because
we're
we
going
are
to go
going to
see Iron
Maiden.
Maiden tonight.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm not stalking them though. Just go there and see him, and then I'll be content. Anyway, that's when I followed around Maiden on tour and all did all that wild stuff. Formed a band, and when I was 16, I was
became Paul Di'Anno's
Paul Di'Anno's
stepson.
stepson. He became my stepdad. That's what he kept telling people, like the Rolling Stone magazine and all that. He said I was Denny Di'Anno. That's a whole different
And
story.
almost started dating Steve Harris's daughter.
Tried to. That didn't work out. But she gave me stuff from Steve Archives, like wristbands and all that. So
Excellent.
that's almost as good as dating her, I guess. I don't know. Anyway, so at around 16, I was the metal guy. I wasn't into all that. And episode 2 came around. I watched it, didn't like it at all. So that's where my Star Wars interest kind of waned for a while. Mm-hmm. But not for long, actually, because then episode 3 came out, and I remember seeing that in the new cinema in my then hometown in Herne. And it was one of the few films that I actually showed in English. So I went to see it in English with 2 other people. So that was a really cramped cinema there. Tells you a lot about English in Germany. But I quite enjoyed that, actually, because that was a fun ride, and I liked the Vader and Obi-Wan fight as much as it is a choreographed dance. It was a nice choreography, and that kind of got me back into it. And then I started talking to other Maiden fans who were also into Star Wars, and I had a friend in Ireland who, at that point, was working for PayPal and was making good money for a young guy, and he started buying all these Master Replicas props at that point. And we were talking about just how cool that stuff is, and then we came to the point that we said, oh yeah, it's really cool to have an astromech droid, like your own astromech droid. And that's where it stopped for him, and that's when I started researching, is that even possible? Can I do it? And as I just said, it took me 2 years, but then I had my first astromech, and things that were my first steps into a larger world. And it's not stopped since. And we were talking about collections. When you came out over first, like, was it 12 years ago?
Probably about that.
Yeah.
When I was still with my mother.
You were still underage then, weren't you?
Yeah.
What were you then, about 13, 14 or something?
Yeah, about that. That's when Simon did his 12-year-old thing.
Yeah, did his full grooming.
I thought we weren't going to talk about that.
It's all right. We'll just get it. We'll just get
okay
it.
now.
We'll just get Clarky to edit it out. It's all right.
Just have to sign some at the end.
Just spill. Let's just.
That was my job.
Let's just take a break while the sander's on.
If you see me walking around,
Sandpaper helps if you don't feel anything anymore, I've heard.
What?
If you use sandpaper, it helps if you don't feel anything anymore down there.
So yeah, you can just spill your guts about everything, and Clarky will edit it all out. That's not necessary.
Okay, so this will be like a 2-minute podcast when we're done.
That's where it usually goes. Yeah.
So in fact, when we came over to Germany, that was my first troop
True. In that Royal Guard.
in the Royal Guard. Yeah,
That's
Essen.
yeah, at the cinema.
Bettina Schleif lent to you. You had the snowtrooper.
Yeah.
Yeah,
She that's probably that's she actually died last year. Was it last year? I think so. Yeah.
shame.
It happened really quickly. Cancer, the usual.
Yeah. Anyway,
Yeah.
not to dwell on that.
Onto something. Yeah, no.
If anyone wants to see pictures of me and you in costume, they are on our
Yeah.
Facebook page, aren't they?
Somewhere.
So look very young.
There's one. There's definitely one of us three.
Some of us
Me with
do.
the
Yeah,
R2,
you
you
with the
guys
R2.
in the costume.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
And that was when you brought over 21 suits in
Yeah,
one
something
car.
like that. Yeah, yeah,
That car was packed
yeah.
right to the roof with plastic. and I don't know how you guys squeezed in there, but it somehow worked.
We were thinner.
Yeah,
True.
we were thin about that. Yeah.
All of us. So
It was difficult driving sat on size knee, but it was worth it.
Shouldn't have had it out in my lap. So yeah.
yeah, that's when you came over, and I had like maybe about 6 Stormtrooper helmets on display at that point, different makers, and
No, you had quite a bit of stuff, I'm sure.
and other stuff as well. Yeah, but it wasn't even nearly as crazy as it is now, because that's what the whole collecting thing was, just a byproduct of me building stuff.
Well, I think it's actually a byproduct of you buying stuff
I think there's
It's become that now. Yeah.
because you started on the R2, then you moved on to the Stormtroopers. That doesn't explain life casts of Luke Skywalker and reveals of Darth Vader.
True. Actually, the Darth Vader sideshow reveal bust got in a trade for one of your Stormtroopers.
All right.
Well, there you go.
It's funny because I got the same one. Not the same one you got, but I got the same, and I got mine in a trade.
Yeah, there you go.
That's a really good piece.
It is. It's beautiful.
I mean, I have to say, when I first saw your collection, even at your mum's, I was just like, oh, this is what I want, you know. And I think that time you only had like 4 cabinets, and
Yeah.
I know every shelf was full, but each piece was a quality piece. And I've fallen down that rabbit hole of gone,
Yeah.
right.
That is exactly what
So many
caused
cabinets.
the collecting, because like I bought stuff that I liked and upgraded it, like the Stormtrooper, to a point where it's just the best you can get. And that became a habit. And then I have really hard time to let go of things once I think they're really like when I really like them, I like them. I don't want to let go of them. Thing is, I like all Star Wars, and once,
Well,
once I
mine's
get
gone
something-
beyond collecting now. It's definitely into hoarding.
Yeah, it is. It's an addiction.
Yeah.
Well, this leads me to another question. Were you like a collective or a collecting personality before Star Wars? Do you used to collect other things like, I don't know, you know, erasers or
No, not really. I mean, well,
thimbles, little spoons, fridge
no,
magnets?
I never did that. No. I mean,
You ever considered that?
It started with, no, I don't think so. It started with the Star Wars toys, really, back in the 90s. Because I spent all my allowance on.
So that's interesting. So
toys.
you've only ever been a Star Wars collector?
Yeah, mostly. I mean, I did have, back in the 90s, I had my Super Nintendo and I got games for that, and I never got rid of those games. I still have them. Don't play them anymore, but they're still there. But it's not like I purposely went out to get more and more and more.
It's interesting. Interesting. I think I've always had a kind of collective personality. When I was a kid, I used to collect broken dreams. I've got lots.
What of your parents?
Yeah. Yeah. Shattered illusions.
So
That explains a lot.
So interestingly enough, my birthday recently, my mum brought me around something that I completely forgot about. And when I was a kid, I used to collect lead soldiers
All right. Yeah.
because I think I remember my dad-
That sounds healthy.
my dad- well, yeah, I mean they are actual lead because they were, and they're made by a company called Britannia, which
Are these all the ones where they're like kind of Zulu era? You know, them uniforms and stuff.
sort of, but these
Not World War
they-
II, like way back.
No, these
Cavalry and
these were
stuff.
cavalry stuff, and there was ones you get from like the Busbies and all that, you know.
Oh yeah.
So what she'd done is she'd put them in a frame, and I was just like, oh yeah, I remember collecting these. I just thought they were just, I don't know, thought they disappeared with time. But that was my sort of very first collection of collecting figures, and then obviously from there it went to Star Wars, and from there, obviously when you're a kid, other toy things come out, like He-Man came out, and Transformers and stuff like that. And I may have had one or two.
Yeah, me too. I had stuff of that. Like
But
I had a
it was
couple
always
turtles.
Star Wars.
Turtles was like my thing. I had a lot of them Ghostbusters, but I never. That was toys. I played with them, and I never had like the intention of I have to have them all on display, or I have to get them all. That wasn't even possible because all these American toys in Germany, you just got like the ones that didn't sell in America. That's how it felt like anyway. Like some of them you never saw on the shelf. No chance. So you just got what you got and played with it, and didn't even think about it as a collector's piece.
That's what happens when you go to war.
Yeah,
So you get punished.
yeah, true.
Yeah, you get punished.
Yeah,
You just get the
you never get a foot
shit
soldier.
that doesn't sell.
They never sold the foot soldiers in Germany. Make of that what you will. That's So but the collecting started with Star Wars for me, and back in the 90s, that's I got all these He-Man Power, the Force figures, like spent all my allowance on them. I got all the books that came out, like Shadows of the Empire was like the main event in like 96, was it? Where you got the book, you got the video game, you got the soundtrack, and I was like completely invested in that. That was right around that time, and then I got all the other books, and for a while I really enjoyed them, and then I realized some of that is pretty bad as well, so I stopped reading the books. But as I said, about when I was 19, 20, I got into the R2 building through other friends who are also into Star Wars and
the master replicas and that. So
yeah.
was this from kind of, I don't know what you have in Germany, but here we have Forbidden Planet.
yeah.
You may have had Forbidden and Planet and...
Yeah. No, we don't. We didn't even have. I think there was nothing like that.
Really?
There still isn't. Is there? No, there has.
So there's nothing. So you really had to... You had to go out your way to...
There was like
to become the geek.
Web magazines. Yeah. Being a nerd at that point was still uncool, pretty much uncool. And there was like magazines that you had to buy at the station, basically, like right next to the filthy magazines, and you felt just as bad getting them. But I still remember there was like one shop that just recently closed in Hamburg. There was like a nerd shop, and they had all that stuff, like toys. We did have like one shop in Herne, actually, where I got most of my figures, Star Wars figures. That was like a video game shop, mostly. But they also sold, I guess that was like a prototype too, or it was a nerd shop, come to think of it. Because they had like all the trading cards, Magic, whatever that.
Pokemon.
I don't think Pokemon was
That before
a thing.
that.
Wasn't a thing, or maybe I just didn't put any attention on it. But they had like the Star Wars trading cards and the Magic stuff and the video games, and then they had like a small section of toys, of action figures, but like the collectible, like the Spawn. Spawn was big back then. All these like the
McFarlane,
Spawn figures. I didn't really get into that because I didn't read the comics, but they had the Star Wars figures as well. So, and I remember like back then, the Kenner, the mail-in Han Solo Stormtrooper from Kellogg's. That was impossible to get in Germany because there was a US mail-in thing, and that was pre-internet as well.
Did you not have Kellogg's either?
Well, we did have Kellogg's, but they didn't offer that mail-in thing.
Again.
And I just knew about the figure through those magazines, and they had one, and it was ridiculously expensive, like I don't know, about €100 or something, in that white little box. And I remember as a child just standing there wanting it badly. Never got it because couldn't afford it. And then years later, I actually picked it up on eBay for €1. Still in the box, so that tells you something about.
I imagine sort of pre-internet though, and only being able to sort of get stuff out the back of magazines and stuff like that. And marketing Stormtroopers in Germany can't have been that easy.
Well, they did have in those magazines. They actually had. I remember that vividly when I was a kid. I remember for once there was the Toy Hunter's Journal that was all about toys. They had an article about a guy who built his own R2 when I was 13-ish. And I remember that was like, wow, I want to do that. And quickly realized I can't do it at this point because didn't have a workshop, didn't have money, didn't have anything. It's just a kid dreaming about it.
The seed.
But it planted the seed. And then I saw that article and fast forward to when I actually started building mine.
Was it any good though? Because there's a lot of people making stuff in like the 90s that was. I would look at it and.
Well, for me,
shit.
back then, as a kid, I saw it and I said, he built an original R2. Looking back now, meh. But it was a pioneer work at that point. There was no community. It was inspiring, most definitely. And then, because I was talking about that dinner group, I found out about them at the cinema because people were wearing T-shirts with the logo on it. I thought, that had a website on it, like a forum that they organized their meetings out. So I joined that forum just to see what they're doing and if I want to join. Still felt like kind of iffy about it.
Make friends.
Yeah, not sure if they...
Your other friend's gone by now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, didn't know what to think of it. So I joined the forum, and one of the people in that group was that guy from the magazine who built the R2.
Really?
Yeah, and he was one of the first R2 builders in the world. Actually, he's still active in the R2 builders community.
Wow.
So the first time I went to that Star Wars dinner, I was just sat with him, and he brought like a folder with stuff on his build, and we were just talking R2 non-stop. So that was like the dial of destiny. Because I read about him like 7 years before that, and then I actually got to meet him, and he actually, I didn't know it was him, because when I was on that forum, I had like my avatar picture was me and my first prototype R2, because I built one that looked great, well, looked okay, but was very unstable because I just used thin materials for the frame and everything. Made rookie mistakes, basically. So that was just a static piece that I then sold on to build the second one. But that was in the back on that picture, and he said, what's that R2 in your bag? Is that a cardboard cutout or something? I said, no, that's the R2 that I built. I said, what, you built an R2? I said, yeah. Well, I've never heard of you. I said, yeah, well, I just read online what to do and did it. I didn't really ask a ton of questions.
Before you were the legend.
Yeah, that's when it was in the making, basically. So he contacted me, and then I realized who he was. So, yeah, full circle.
But exactly full circle, because now the young kids come to Dan, and he's like, I built this R2. Check this R2 out. Yeah.
Well, actually, I've not done a lot of
now
R2.
You are the master.
Yeah, that's what happens, I guess. And then they will outgrow me at some point, which actually is what happens with the collections, I think. Because as I said, that was like a byproduct of all that. Building stuff, getting stuff, loving it, not wanting to let go of it, and then it just accumulated. And I was like, I have to somehow display it because I love it. And so that was the next step. And then I actually moved out, got my first flat. I remember that. That's when things started getting crazy.
Mm.
That's what kickstarted it, because I on the RPF I saw someone who was a statue collector who put all these Detolfs, the IKEA cabinets, in a row and put all the statues in there, and I was like, that looks really cool. I want to do that. And then I had the opportunity to do it, and then I did it, posted pictures online, and I think people are still like going back to those pictures, saying those inspired the whole craziness that people are doing now.
Oh yeah, definitely inspired me.
Which feels really weird, because I mean that was still seeing those pictures now was really innocent, but even now if I look at them I think that looked pretty cool. That was a nice worked out display that I can see why people liked it. But it still feels weird when people say, yeah, he really influenced us, and he's like, he got us into this, and it's like, shit, you're not supposed to follow me. It's like, that's the worst mistake you can make. But yeah, that's when it all started, and that's when I also started making money, and that's when the whole building stuff. I mean, I'm still building stuff, but I'm also buying stuff that I like. Because I now have the income to buy expensive shit.
Yeah.
ready-made if I like it.
Spunk all that money out and
Yeah.
stuff.
Exactly. So and then it just exponentially grew, and now it's like what?
So
Yeah, gotten a
and-
lot bigger.
and you're still doing events.
I'm still doing events.
So you're still costuming, you're still enjoying that element of it.
Absolutely.
Which is bigger for you now, collecting or costuming? Or still
I-
equal?
And I'd say collecting has become the bigger part.
Is that because you can do it all the time?
Yeah.
And you can always be thinking
That
about
because the communities have grown as well. Because back then when I started, especially I mean there were collectors, but they were like toy collectors or master replicas. Like I remember seeing pictures of people having all the lightsabers, like all the hilts on display and everything, and I was like, okay, that's like the high roller guys that I can't even think about because can't afford it. But there wasn't like, I mean, you've been around for a while now, and you certainly know about how things shifted when you started. And I was really enthusiastic about your Stormtrooper, obviously, because I knew what it was, and lots of other people were. And this is the good shit. Get it?
But that's the
And
thing.
then people send it back because they were like, what's that? That's not what I expected, because people had the master replicas mindset, and they said, this is not like 3 kilograms of fiberglass, highly polished, weirdly sanitized helmet. Why? That's not what I want. And that over the years has really changed. Like there's now a community of people who seek out accuracy and actually understand it and actually want to get that stuff. That was,
Yeah, I think 15 years ago there was less of that
yeah, way
available.
less. Yeah, available as well, and it also
But
wasn't.
that's what I wanted, and that's what kind of my peers
Yeah,
in the community, that's what they wanted. So that
Yeah.
was the driving force behind that. And I couldn't understand people who wanted the symmetrical, sanitized, highly polished.
nah,
I didn't get that.
same here. And I never got it, but I remember when
But it depends where you are in the rabbit hole, doesn't it? I suppose.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because when you're on the outside,
But-
and you're looking at Forbidden Planet ads, and they've got
yeah,
like a
all the shiny
like
stuff.
a Don
yeah.
Post 3PO and stuff. You're like,
Yeah.
wow.
Well, actually, the Don Post 3PO, like the statue, that was really good.
Let me,
Okay,
let me just ask you a question related to what you said to Dan before, which was about, do you prefer costuming or collecting now? Do you think that path is a natural one because you can display it? Because it makes me think like, I mean, I couldn't fit in my TK anymore. I'm definitely fatter than when I built it like 8 years ago. But I've got my collection in my man cave because I've got a space to display it. Not particularly big space, but it's a space. Whereas I wonder if people who are still more into costume inside of it is because they can't display it. Like a lot of people's kit just sits in a box until they
Yeah.
go and do a troop.
Yeah, true.
They don't get to appreciate it on a mannequin in the corner of the room, or they don't have a helmet out on display.
Or they don't have an understanding wife
well,
or girlfriend
Yeah.
yeah,
or boyfriend
or partner, or cat
Partner,
or dog,
yeah, in general,
wherever we are these days.
partner.
But that's just I've never thought of it
Significant
before.
other.
But it made me think: is that just down to?
Shush you.
He shushed me.
All right.
It made me think: is that just down to not being able to display it? Does it make you keep trooping almost until if you got it in a room, you just go over and go, this is it.
Well, when I had my whole Stormtrooper on display in that very first organized display, that definitely made me troop
The
less.
spare room. That was the spare room,
Yeah.
wasn't it?
That made me troop less
Because you couldn't
in
be
my
bothered
Stormtrooper because I
removing
couldn't be
it.
bothered getting it off the mannequin and then putting it back on. So there might be something to it. If you have it in a box, you might be more inclined to actually take it out on a weekend and wear it to actually enjoy it. Whereas
So you should have
if
two.
you have it,
Everyone should have two.
well, that's why I have more now. That's what I stick to. That's why I have more than one costume now. So yeah, I think that might have a factor on it. If you don't get to see it all day and you like it, you're more inclined to go to events and wear it to enjoy it.
And if you fit in it.
And if you're fit in it,
I mean, I went through a stage where I was feeling guilty if I went to an event and I didn't take a particular costume because there'd be people there that could appreciate it.
Yeah. Well,
I got over it.
yeah. Yeah. I would say, because we always have that debate when there's like a celebration going on or something, and then people say, yeah, you're going to take a costume. And I was like, no, I'm not. I'm not taking a costume over to the States or even here to London. That would be too stressful. So like, not the wearing of it. I would actually enjoy wearing it at the convention, but bringing it over and stressing about customs, seizing it, or having problems with the blasters or whatever, or it getting destroyed by careless people handling it. It's just that I don't see the appeal. Although I would like to troop at a celebration. Maybe I'll come back to Germany. So I actually didn't even get to troop at the celebration in Essen. Well, I did do the R2 thing on our R4.
Well, you were on the stage.
On the stage, but I didn't get to wear a costume.
One time you was VIP on the back and doing all that and chatting to everyone and smooching, and he didn't even have time for us, did he? Essen, we didn't even see him.
We actually hung out quite a bit.
We didn't.
You didn't have time at London.
Yeah,
because you were doing the whole biker scout thing.
Well, I think
that's when you got.
I think we were just totally
unorganized. At Anaheim last year, and he didn't go.
True. Yeah. Well, you had your reasons.
Kids.
Yeah.
Ruin everything.
They do.
Kids. Yeah.
But Anaheim was great last year, actually.
It was fantastic.
It was a good one. Again,
I
no
totally
costume there.
it.
No costume there, but
Yeah,
a lot of collecting talks and all that. So,
is it the this one of the? I think it's the Blu-ray edition of Star Wars, the trilogy, the original trilogy. And there's that documentary. Was it the Rose Bowl Parade? And was it a lot of the Italian guys?
Piero was there, and
was there and all that lot. And they didn't get. They got the game in the end, but I mean, spoilers. But it was a bit touch and go. Getting it over from Italy to
that would just stress me out too much because I go there for fun.
Yeah.
To escape the stressful everyday life, and I don't want to stress about my prized costume getting lost, destroyed, or
I did once have something confiscated. On a plane.
Yeah, then see, I don't want to risk that. So, although I remember that years ago when I was here with Dennis, helping out, was it for Halloween or something, like when you guys started, and we took our rubber E11 blasters, and we had that in our luggage, and that caused a bit of a fuss at the airport as well. Well, we actually got it through at the end, but that was one of those moments where I was like, okay, I don't want to do that on a regular basis, because it was just a rubber gun. And people just freaked out, and we were like this close to getting detained, basically, for having it in our check-in luggage. Yeah, so that was
taking it in on carry-on.
Yeah,
that's the problem.
Yeah, but even checking
I had a Boba Fett rocket.
Yeah,
I don't know why I was checking that in. Sorry, not checking in. It was in my hand luggage.
Yeah,
and no, they weren't happy about that, and I was like arguing, kicking up a real fuss and that.
Yeah.
And then I remembered, wait a minute, when I was making this, I had like a big old fat, like 10 or 12 mil drill bit or something, and I was drilling in the bottom of it. Because it was two sections. No, it kind of wedged right in.
Yeah.
And I couldn't get it out, and I thought, well, that's okay, because I can use that to join it. So I'm guessing on the X-ray they're looking at that, and there's like a massive drill bit embedded in it, and I was like, just keep it. Bin it. Get rid of it. I'm not going to win an argument here because...
Yeah,
I know what's in there. But at first I was like, it's just resin. They're like, just resin, is it?
Yeah. No.
Geek. So the collecting's a big part for you now.
Yeah. As I said, it was a byproduct, but it's taken over.
And I see you posting the photographs and that, and you must be like, you must have something there, and then you must think to yourself, I'm going to get a snap of this and post it on the groups, and people are going to lose their shit. Which usually happens.
Yeah.
No, what I enjoy about seeing Dan stuff is it always starts with something like, I've had this for years. I started this 10 years ago.
Yeah.
You've got that many projects that are on the go.
Yeah. That's
And now you've gone down the slippery slope of adding 3D printed stuff to it, haven't you?
yeah. That's why my short trooper took 3 years to finish.
To print.
No, the printing was the easy part.
Oh, the sanding.
Yeah, the sanding and filling and sanding and filling and sanding and filling. Yeah, it's horrible.
You could just Mando Merc style it and just not sand it. Just
Yeah,
paint.
I could.
Just paint that shit.
I could, but then people wouldn't lose their shit. I post pictures of it, and I wouldn't like it. So there you go. Why would I even bother?
They'd more likely throw shit at it.
Yeah, they'd lose their shit all over me.
A friend of mine started
Such a
3D
prop snob.
printing.
I am.
A friend of mine started 3D printing, and every now and again he sends me a picture of what he's 3D printed. And now he just knows that he's going to get some comment back like, what is it? Or has it been in a fire?
Yeah.
Was it designed for Rocky Dennis's head? Something like that, because it never looked, for me, it never looks right. And, I think that's because what you're saying, you've got to put so much time into sanding and filling and basically rebuilding it.
And the biggest problem with 3D printing is there's a ton of files that you can get for free or cheap, but they're utter rubbish. So if you don't have an eye, it's the same with, basically it's just what you have with all the other props, but even worse, because everyone can buy a printer. Everyone can get whatever file they can find first, start printing it, and then have a shitty print of that and go, look at my nice piece. And I see it and I'm like, you haven't sanded it. You used the wrong file. You've done no research on it at all. That's just toss. It's just that.
Instant gratification.
Is that the new version of buying? I was going to say Jedi robe there, but that might be slightly unfair.
same.
Was it more like the going down the Etsy route of buying those very square recast armors that you can still buy a TK kit on Etsy for like 200-300 quid when you've got no knowledge?
Yeah, that's
the same thing.
That's the same basic path that they're following. They're just like, oh, I can print this stuff at home, so I'll get a cheap printer. Oh, the files are free. They don't look anything like what I want to do, but they're free, so I'll just print it. And they just waste their money on that.
Close enough.
We're at Manchester Comic Con, and this woman comes over and she says, "How much are your helmets?" I said, "Well, $325. I can't remember it."
Yeah.
And she said, "Well, I've just bought one in there for," I think she said I bought it for 50 quid. I said, "And it doesn't look any different than yours." And I said, "All right, where is it?" And then she pulled it out of this bin bag. Right. And I'd have preferred the bin bag. It was basically probably a third or fourth generation Etsy master replicas. You know, the one that's like the it's only one half of the helmet.
The collector's edition one.
It's just like, that's it. Doesn't look any different, does it? And I'm like,
oh, well,
really?
if it doesn't to you,
If it doesn't,
then all right,
that's fine.
enjoy it.
And you can see that it's not even been trimmed properly. There's bits of fiberglass sticking out of it and everything.
Yeah.
It was a right-off mess.
Actually saw a post on a group on Facebook the other day, not too long ago, where someone said, "I'm looking for an RS 10th anniversary PPE helmet. If anyone has one, let me know." And the first comment was, "Yeah, I can print you one." And I was like, "The fuck you can?"
Yeah.
It's like they didn't even. Somebody said, "Okay, he's looking for a Stormtrooper helmet. I'll print him a Stormtrooper helmet." They didn't even realize that he had a specific thing in mind, and that's exactly the thing. Like, I can do that. I can do it. We'll look exactly the same. We'll be the same thing.
No.
Just 3D. Of course not. But that's the mind frame that some people have.
See, I don't understand, because I learned very early on that you can buy like a cheap version of something.
Yeah.
But even in props, nothing's cheap.
Yeah.
So you can buy a less expensive one, or you can buy a more expensive one. And I saw, because I was building FET, and that takes time.
Yeah.
You
That's a project I have in a box somewhere.
You would see
For
a certain vendor selling something, and then something else would come out that was better. So a lot of people wanted the better one now, so they were offloading the cheaper one. But they were losing money.
Yeah.
So they would buy it, and then they would sell it because it'd been superseded by something else.
Yeah.
And then they would lose money. But I was convincing myself that buying this stuff was an investment.
Yeah.
But that wasn't panning out. And so it didn't take me long to realise, buy the most accurate one, and as long as nothing else comes out that's better than it, you're not ever going to lose any of your money on it if you decide the collection's going a different way or whatever. So I learned that quite early on, and that was another driving force for getting the most accurate piece.
Yeah.
Because otherwise it was just going to be...
Yeah. It's going to be...
I mean, I haven't got a Tuscan Raider, but I ordered the Regal Robot one. I don't see that being bettered.
Yeah, it's not going to be bettered by anyone.
Because where the reference materials come for it.
Yeah.
That's just the way it is.
Yeah. And I mean, what I said, when I got all the Stormtroopers...
I mean, I understand if somebody just wants to print something and display it, and that's good enough for them. That's fine. But when you're building a collection... it's not about that, is it? It's as much about having the best one you can get as it is kind of having a collection that's growing in value and is worth something.
Yes and no. I never look at the value of things. I spend a lot of money, but I don't ever think about. That's what I said, because I never think about selling anything.
But how
I don't even see it like.
Do you insure it?
No, I haven't insured it. I wouldn't, but that's the thing. I wouldn't even know how to. I mean, all the Master Replica. I don't have that much Master Replica stuff, but I have some. I could put a value on that, but how do you put a value on something that I built and finished myself?
Market. I mean, there's a way of working something out.
Yeah,
but how much is it going to cost you to replace without building it yourself?
Yeah. Do you think that would work if I go to an insurance company and say,
yeah,
this
There'll
is
be a
that
calculation for
I
it
was going to
somewhere.
say, I imagine that'll be a very rough comparison, but like my van is a custom built camper, and they assess it based on me providing all the proof of what's been spent, market value of the van, and they come back with a compromised valuation on it, and I either accept it or go somewhere else. And there's insurance, my cameras and stuff like that. Everything's insured. That's a solid thing. But I also have a general cover that covers me for all my cards and batteries and stuff. So there's definitely some kind of insurance that would do it.
Yeah, I'm sure there would be, but yeah, I wouldn't even be able to tell them what I spent on it, because I just do. I'd never really put it down anywhere. Just get what I need, and then so that would be well. Anyway,
That sounds like a lack of German efficiency.
true. Yeah, I guess that's where the
You sure
Polish
you're
that's where the Polish side comes in.
Been hanging around with us too long. But that's one of the things that I love about your collection is and that's what inspired me is the quality of it. Everything in it is, it's not like Hasbro or anything like that. And like I say, there's nothing wrong with Hasbro or 3D printed stuff.
Actually, I have some
that's-
Hasbro stuff as well, but
That's what.
Sorry, clear.
A Mattel.
If there's anything like, but it's like, and the way it's displayed and how you've categorized your display as well. Because I've just redone all mine.
which I'll see
It's
later on, I guess.
And at some point, we need to do
A tour.
a tour with the vlog.
Need to give the some direction to where your collection is.
That's it, yeah. So yeah, I mean that for me is seeing your collection and seeing how that was, and that's again from that first one you had when you first, not just at your mum's, but when you had your first place.
Yeah, the first place. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean that's the basic idea of that display is still pretty much in place now in the dining room. Still the same setup.
I have to say, I got rid of the cabinets though.
Yeah.
The DTOF is just it's too much polishing. It's too much dust.
I was actually considering getting rid of them as well,
Oh well, when you come to mine later, I'll show you.
but I'm not convinced yet. But I might be later on. Because that's what I said before. Like people, like looking at those groups that have grown and all the collectors in there. There's, especially on the display side, there's collections that are just mental. Whereas where I go, wow, that is quite impressive. And then they go, yeah, you inspired me. I was like, no, I didn't. It's like, maybe I did, but this is way past what I did. Was it they I can't get the quote right. What did Yoda say in Last Jedi? Was it they grow past what we?
I think he said.
No, that was not
ship
Atlas,
failure.
did I?
Whatever. Anyway, I might have
Did
inspired them.
I?
Yeah, whatever.
No.
I might have inspired them.
Botox Yoda.
Botox Yoda.
Yeah.
Joiner Yoda. So yeah, I might have inspired them, but they've taken it even further, I think. But I'm quite happy with what I have, and that's been we've talked about it years ago, and it's still an ongoing thought process in my mind. It's like, and that comes back to I'm a hoarder and I can't get rid of anything, and it's like an addiction. I'd really like to be able to curate it more and get rid of stuff and have less, but have it displayed even more effectively. But I can't. And that's the bane of the whole thing.
Maybe when you move next time, you may have to, and that might be more of a trigger. So do you have stuff? Obviously, you have a lot of stuff displayed. Do you have stuff
It's not on display.
that's finished and it could go straight out on the shelf and it could form part of your display, but it doesn't fit, or do you everything's out?
Well, apart from the full costumes that I don't have on display on a mannequin, but I have parts of it on display, mostly like busts of it. Apart from that, I think everything that's finished is on display, but I have a whole basement room filled with boxes of unfinished stuff that if I finish it, I wouldn't have anywhere to display it.
So that's where, like, Barry Fimister.
Yeah.
Hello, Barry, if you're listening. He told me he's got like a helmet collection, and he's got
hundreds.
hundreds, hasn't he?
Yeah.
And he says what he tends to do is change certain ones out, so it always keeps the display fresh. And I like that idea, but then that's where the hoarding started, I think. To try and get certain pieces that, like, oh, well, I can swap that out for another one. And
Let's just take a break while that's on. So I've not even got a display area at the moment. I've just
I'll need
got
some
like a
sandpaper now
storeroom.
as well.
But if something comes up, even though I know I've not got anywhere to put it, but I know that I want a piece, I will just buy it and store it.
like
Because
the Batmobile.
yeah, which is in a shelf over there.
Yeah.
But if I don't get it now, then the chances are in 12 months I'm going to have somewhere to display it and I'm going to want one, and it's going to be twice the price.
Yeah. Oh, I totally get that mentality.
So I definitely, I'm still buying stuff even if I don't have anywhere to put it. But with your display, do you look at it and you think that's going to fit there, that's going to fit there? Or do you look at it and think that's going to go there, and then in that space I need such and such an item, or I'm going to want, that's going to display nicely with it and I want one, and then you start looking for it? How does it work for you?
I think the way it is now, I mean, I'm now at a point where I don't have any more display space, really. Everything's filled up. And it sort of grew organically to what it is now. And things just grouped together organically as well. But now, especially in the B room, in the office, I have stuff that isn't displayed the way it should be. Because I just put it wherever there was available space, not really thought about it. which brings me back to I have to curate this. I have to get rid of stuff to give the other stuff the room it needs. So yeah, it up to a point it's just grown naturally, and then you get to a point where you can't group stuff as you would like to because it's just too much. And now I would, but that's another thing. I don't really want to put stuff in boxes. Like when it's finished and it's nice, I want it out. I want to see it. I want to be able to enjoy it, and having it in a box in the basement.
But how do you do that? Because your display looks good. The way you put things together,
Yeah.
it all fits together right. And now when I look at something, I think, I like this piece, but it doesn't go with the rest of what it's displayed with. But what would go nice there is, something that would fit.
Yeah.
But yours, you look like you've taken the time and you've worked all of that out, but now you're just saying,
Well,
I've just got all this stuff and I just put it all out, and it just
well, no,
I'm just so talented that I've done it without any consideration whatsoever.
there's been consideration put into it, definitely, but it's grown. That's the thing, because a lot of it I built over years, as Clarky put, which is true. Some stuff takes years to finish, so I know what's coming, and it's not like, because I'm not trying to bash anyone, but other collectors, something's going to be offered by whoever offers it, and they'll just jump on it because exactly what you just said.
Yeah, but I do that.
And I understand that absolutely, but they don't like, they get it because then now's the chance they get it now, and they'll have to display it.
I think that's especially true of statues.
Yeah. Well, but also helmets now, and the Regal robot stuff and all that, because that's like, they put something out, or you guys put a helmet out, and then the groups, for as soon as it ships, everyone's going to post the same pictures because everyone's getting the same thing. And then you see it for like a week or two, and then you don't see it ever again for a while because they just get it. Everyone gets it at the same point, and I mean, there's nothing wrong with it, and if people enjoy it, but it's kind of boring. So then you just go, okay, so that shipped now, so everyone's posting it. That's why I never really put my Regal Robot Rancor on a group, like I'm not like maybe one or two shots, but not put like a post on it saying I got this now, because I was like late in the run getting mine.
Yeah.
And all the groups were just filled with pictures of that Rancor. I was like, there's no point in putting mine up.
Unless
The only point would be saying I have it, I got one as well.
Unless you're displaying it with a couple of other pieces, and it,
Yeah.
and it's like, this is
just right, yeah.
This is how I decided, or this was the space I had that it fitted in, or this was, I moved something out to make this space, and that now lives somewhere else.
Yeah, that will make, but yeah, I just put it in a cabinet, and it basically sends there on its own. And
Yeah, that's a big piece, that rank.
it is big. It's
How did you
huge.
display that?
Well, as I said, I got a large glass cabinet where it actually fits in.
From IKEA?
No, that was like a shop display that I found on a classifieds page. 3 of them. That's the 3 I have in my office that are next to each other, and they're huge.
I don't think I've seen them.
They're no,
Yeah. You should have posted pictures.
There's pictures of them online.
Yeah.
But haven't you seen them in real life?
I don't think so.
How long has it been
Are they
that
there?
you've been?
I thought they were there when we were.
Yeah,
We did the
yeah.
tour of Dan's. That's 4.
No. When we did the tour, it was still the old
Oh,
setup.
okay.
You did have some.
I think
Well,
you
there
may,
was stuff in there, but it wasn't
Yeah.
those huge cabinets.
No.
Yeah, I don't. Well, you may have had them, but there was nothing.
No,
in
no.
them or something.
When you came over, that was basically the housewarming thing. Was that the last time you came over?
Yeah.
Shit, that's been 4 years.
It's COVID, isn't it? You know.
It's more than 4 years now, isn't it?
I think it's about 4 years, 4.5, something like that.
Yeah, well, 2 of those years were COVID, weren't they?
Yeah. Anyway,
So-
I got them later than that.
So go back to listening to almost 3 different ways of collecting from you guys' point of view, and my mentality is the same whether it's me camera gear or my collection. It's like if it's not getting used or it's not on display, it goes.
Yeah.
Because I'm definitely not a hoarder, but I'll sell something to fund something else.
Yeah.
Camera
yeah.
lenses are my prime thing with that. Like, if I've got a lens that doesn't get used for a few months, it gets sold and I buy another bit of kit because that money kind of it always goes back into the same. It's my job in this case, but hobby.
Yeah.
If I'm selling a helmet, or something. But my biggest regret with certain helmets was I got rid of them because I didn't have the space to display them because I didn't think about the display. So a couple of years back, you had some of those motorbike helmets, the wire ones, and I bought a dozen of them, and that changed it for me. Because I've got a small section of wall. It's now got must have 9 or 12 helmets perfectly displayed on it. And if I'd have known that years ago, I'd still have 3 or 4 helmets that I got rid of because I didn't have the space to display them. So I think like listening to that and putting more thought into the display.
Well, this is it. You see, with my display, at one point I had where it was the helmet, and then I'd have the Hot Toys figure
With a helmet,
next to
yeah.
it. So it's almost like a mini mannequin of the costume next to the helmet itself. But it's just too much because I've got like so many helmets and that.
Yeah.
That trying to fit everything next to each other in any sort of cabinet really is just too much. And I have got a lot of Hot Toys that now that I'm just going to end up getting rid of.
Yeah.
Hot Toys are good, you know. I like them, but I much prefer the statues.
Yeah.
So like the Mythos ones, DMD, NYC, all those makers.
Yeah.
They make really nice statues. Whereas you look at the Hot Toys and it's like it's
an expensive Barbie.
It's an expensive Barbie. Yeah, basically, yeah.
I really like the Hot Toys still.
Well, I quite like them as well, and I was tempted.
Yes,
especially when you see them in the flesh.
I'm a little bit older than you,
Yeah.
and for me, toys were action men.
Oh yeah.
So
Yeah.
I really relate to them.
That was the Barbie
Did you
equivalent.
Did you have
wasn't it?
Action Man?
Yeah, we did.
Did you?
The greatest hero in the world.
I'm surprised you were allowed him.
They just didn't have little grey uniforms on.
We didn't have SS man. If
We
that's
did.
what
We
you're
did.
asking.
No, we
Yeah,
did.
we did.
We
did, eh?
We had
We
the
Yeah,
bad guys
no.
as well. Well, they're not bad guys. They're just a different
Yeah.
point of view. But
Actually, don't get me. I read a review on the new Indie, and somebody gave it a bad review, and the reasoning was they just beat up Nazis without explaining why the Nazis are the bad guys.
yeah,
Is that the ones that wearing the little skulls and?
But that was the review. He said that how can you do that? You cannot just beat up Nazis without explaining why they're the bad guys. And like, what the actual hell?
Read a history book.
Yeah, you don't need an Indiana
Read.
Jones movie.
All right then.
You don't need an Indiana Jones
Watch a
movie to
reel
tell
of
you.
someone reading a
Yeah.
book.
there's probably a TikTok about.
Yeah.
Just go outside and listen to those nutcases, and you'll know that they are the bad guys. They're still around, and you want to punch them. So seeing that actually is quite fulfilling. I don't need anyone explaining why the guy with
Are
the
you talking
skull
about
on it.
Nazis or people on TikTok?
The Nazis.
Okay.
There's probably Nazis on
Gonna say
TikTok as well.
Dan's explanation, if you just go out and see them around, implies that, you know, they're just still wandering the streets of Germany like normal people.
Yeah, of course, in their uniforms. Well, and, no, don't know if you've heard about it, but in East Germany, they just voted one of the right wing AfD guys, like proper right wing people, into the government.
Oh, lovely.
With 52%. So there you go. They're all there. Punch them. Just beat them up. That's what Indiana Jones told us. And you don't need to know why they're bad. Just do it. They deserve it.
That's from a German.
Jawohl.
I'm not too sure if we're going to have to put some kind of text on screen here going,
The spoiler. Spoiler alert.
What the opinions in this movie don't reflect on ours.
Yeah, it's a crazy world we're living in right now.
It is, yeah.
Crazy.
So getting back to the collecting.
Yeah, true.
I
Some people collect Nazi memorabilia.
yeah.
They
Lemmy
do.
did, apparently.
They do. Yeah, they do.
Yeah.
have you got
That's
any, Dan?
true. It does look cool.
Sort of.
I mean, it does look cool.
Yeah, I mean,
It's Hugo Boss.
some of the stuff, well, it's not Nazi memorabilia, but yeah, it is. Well, the Mauser kind of is a Nazi weapon.
Yeah.
If you think about it. So yeah, I kind of do.
MG34.
Yeah, all that stuff.
MG42.
Shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is Star Wars has Nazi stuff in it.
Yeah. All them grey
So just go out and beat up all the Star Wars fans as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, so getting back to the collecting, certainly from us doing this over the years, there's people like myself and Dan that will basically buy lots of Star Wars stuff and hoard it and never sell any of it.
Yeah.
There's yourself that will dip your toe in here, there, and everywhere with anything from nostalgia, like from Batman and
Yeah.
Back to the Future,
RoboCop, but 80s.
Man and stuff like that, 80s stuff like that.
It's pretty much all.
But one
all
thing
80s stuff.
I don't really get with the collecting thing, for me, it is about the collecting. There are a lot of guys out there that the hunt is the main thing for them.
Yeah, no, I get that.
And then they get it, and then it's like they're selling it 2 weeks later. I don't.
Do we know
I
anyone
don't
like
really get? I know quite a
There's-
few people.
yeah,
like that, but
there's-
it's not just on Facebook. It's like it's on other groups and
There's,
stuff.
well, there's a lot of found part stuff that's like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah,
But yeah, I can understand that.
I don't know.
And then you get people bashing some of those guys, and it's like, yeah, but they're doing what they enjoy, yeah, which
Which
is
is the hunt.
hunting down the
Yeah.
part. But then they're also kind of offering a service because they know what to look for.
Yeah. I didn't really mean so much as sort of found parts as it is mainly like what we do, or making replicas as we do, and then someone will go, "Oh yeah, I've really got to have that," and then they basically badger us about when they can get the earliest one that they can, which is fair enough.
Yeah.
And then next thing you know,
They're selling it.
they're selling it.
Like I've seen a lot of the
I just find it a bit odd. That's all.
yeah, yes. But I've seen a lot of the Snowtrooper maquettes being sold on just recently. Like people selling the one that you made.
I think I've seen one or two.
The Snowtrooper
Yeah,
commando.
yeah.
They've come up weirdly oftenly. I thought there's like loads of them just selling them on. It's like to me that's a Grail piece. Some others
Yeah.
don't think so. Apparently.
But Si, your view on how odd you find those hunters who like the hunt.
I understand the hunt.
No,
and
I'm just saying it.
everything.
But again, that's why it's interesting for me to listen to the different perspectives, because that is just the opposite of you, isn't it? People, they'll be like, for me, it's about space. It's space more than money sometimes, because I might have the money and then think I can't because I haven't got the space or what I'm going to move. Whereas if you've got the space and the money, it allows you to be more. Dan's already nodding before I said it, but more of a hoarder.
Yeah.
And then you've got someone who likes, that element of buying it to have it, and whether they then sit on it and never do it again or move it on. It's like anything, isn't it? It's fascinating. The psych. There's definitely an imbalance in everyone's minds and the psychology that goes with everyone's different approach to ultimately wanting the same thing, which is a nice collection.
Yeah. Oh, there's some people out there, like say the hunt is the thing for them, and then they get the piece and then they display it, and maybe it doesn't fit with their collection, or maybe it's they want to keep it fresh all the time, keep it moving, and
The thrill of the
keep
chase,
it
right?
fluid.
It's like you have it and then
Right.
it's there and you go, now I have to find something else that keeps me moving.
So, is there any pieces these days that like you would consider Grail pieces? I know you said about the Snow Commander concepts, but I mean,
Yeah.
is there any that?
Is Falcon.
The Falcon is definitely one. The Master Replicas Falcon is a Grail piece. I'd
Yeah,
say.
no, but you've already got that.
Yeah,
I mean, is
got
there anything
one that I'm looking, that I'm trying to get?
All right.
Not really.
Nothing that's available right now,
Yeah.
but something that could be coming out sometime soon.
Well, I mean,
I'm not suggesting anything, but something could arrive.
there could be something right around the corner where I go, shit, I need that.
Yeah.
I'm really looking forward to your Bausch helmet, that's for sure. Updating the Clothiers one that I also got as a kit and built, and it took a couple of years. So I know what goes into that, and making 100 of them. Heads off to you guys. So I'm looking forward to that. but apart from that, I've nothing on my wish list in particular where I go, I really need to get that. There's always those impulse buy moments when you see something pop
but
up.
there's the excitement that something's going to come out and someone's going to say, I made this.
Yeah. I mean, I've a ton of projects still unfinished that I'd like to put like all my attention to. The 3PO that I'm that I've started on, like redoing the 3PO, and then didn't really follow through with it, and I have to get back to that and get that done and get it chromed and
I know
3PO back.
For you and me both, it was like when we were in the States last year.
Yeah,
And looking at the droid
Chris, Chris Lee's animatronic 3PO.
Oh, it was amazing.
That was a kickoff, and I met him again this year at R2LA, Mike Senna's place, and he brought the 3PO with him again, and I was like, I want that. I want that. That's what it is. I saw it and was like, this is 3PO. I want, because before that, my finished 3PO was just rattle can, spray can finish. It looked all right, but it's not. That's exactly what I said before with the Stormtroopers. It's like this is not it, and that comes. That's kind of probably the same like the chase of a piece or of a found part. It's the chase for the ultimate finish, the ultimate piece. Like with Stormtroopers, it was that for me, and I'm almost there with your stuff. There's always going to be that one thing where you go, because it's not an original. So every replica will leave you wanting, I guess. But there's a point where you have to go, okay, that's good.
That's as close as you're gonna get.
Yeah, that's the best I can do.
Yeah. The compromise.
Yeah. Without spending $1 million, whatever it is to get an original. And even then, with Stormtroopers, it'll still not be the perfect thing. I mean, you'll know it's from the movie, but there'll always be something that you go, that could be better.
Yeah, because of the way that particular one's put together. Or
exactly. Yeah. But yeah, with the 3PO, that was again that I finished it ages ago for a convention. Again, going to that, doing costuming and doing events and taking stuff out there. I wasn't wearing it. Even then, my big melon wouldn't fit in a 3PO hat, so that's not possible. But I had it on display there at the R2 Builders booth, and so to finish it for that, took the Rattlecan road, and even then I thought, this is temporary. It's just for the show or for 1 or 2 shows, and then
how long have you had
redo it? 10 years. Took exactly like when I posted the picture of it in grey primer as it is now. Facebook put up the memory of him being finished in the Rattlecan Gold 10 years ago. So it was 10 years from this is temporary to me actually tackling.
That's a placeholder then, isn't it?
Yeah, it was a placeholder.
10 year
placeholder, yeah. That's.
So how much of the original 3PO is going to be in the final one?
The arms, the head is still the same. Couple of the Greeblies, and I got a new chest for it. I got might use the shorts again, like his pelvis area. Got new legs. I'm redoing the hands. So yeah, it's gonna be like completely like apart from the arms and the head, it's basically all new.
A&H or Return of the Jedi?
More like Empire Strikes Back, actually. So, but to be honest, it's going to be more of a. This is going to be shocking. It's going to be more of a generic 3PO build.
So some of it is going to be carried through.
Yeah, some of it's going to be still going to be the same, but refinished and redone.
Mm-hmm.
And as I said, it's going to be more of a generic kind of build, leaning towards Empire Strikes Back, because all the new parts are based on a scan from an original Empire Strikes Back suit, but the the head is actually, that's an old Zork head that I got on the RPF, who knows how long ago, which was cast from an A New Hope production mate head. And the arms are actually modeled after the A New Hope arms as well, although they were reused in Empire. So and the legs differ from A New Hope to Empire, and I don't want to change them because they're Empire accurate. So it's gonna have an Empire vibe, but it's like not going to be 100%.
You can also like just display it in a net bag and pin it on the wall as well, can't you?
And get a life-size Chewie to wear it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Dan, I think Simon asked you years ago, possibly in a normal video when we were in Germany, what would you save in a fire out of
Yeah.
the collection? I'm pretty sure your answer back then was your R2.
Yeah.
Is it still?
Still the R2. I don't know how I would save him. I would probably die in the fire because he's heavy and I wouldn't be able to get him down those stairs. But yeah, if I had to pick one thing, it's R2. So it's always going to be R2. That's what started the whole thing. And I did so many events with R2.
And yet you're building another one.
Yeah, that was another impulse buy. So when I did my R2 back 15 years ago or longer, there was a lady in Germany who was also around the con circles. She never really participated in the R2 Builders booth or anything, but she was there and she said, "Yeah, I'm collecting parts for an R2, and I want to build it." And she got all the aluminium parts back then that were done in a run, just stacking them up, part stacking.
Mm-hmm.
And
We've all been there.
yeah,
You're still there.
you're still there, yeah. And actually, just the other day when somebody posted like happy 13th anniversary RS on the groups, and I was like, that doesn't sound right. I was checking all messages on the dented helmet where we wrote back and forth, which was 13 years ago. And there's a message somewhere where it says, "Do you know where I can get an R2 dome? I got everything else sorted and just need an R2 dome to finish my droid." Fast forward, 13 years later, and there's still just a stack of parts.
Oh
in
no,
there.
these are all different.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
But-
And he has had one since and sold it.
All right. So it's the thrill of the chase for you.
No, it wasn't good enough.
No, it wasn't. It was definitely.
Anyway, so yeah, and she just out of the blue sent me a message saying, "So I've had this for 15 years, like this stack of parts, and I'm never going to do anything with it. And we're about to move to a smaller place, so I can't even store it anymore. So I have to get rid of it. Do you know anyone who want that?" And she offered it for like a ridiculously low price. The whole thing, it's like 98% of the whole droid. And I just had to take that up because it would have been insane. Well, from my point of view, it would have been insane not to. It's been quite insane to pick it up actually, because if I finish it, there's no way I can display 2 astromechs. But yeah, it was cheap, so I had to go for it.
Which is going to be your favoured one then?
Well, the idea was to upgrade my current droid with some of the parts, and then either get rid of the others, which was what I told myself, but it's not going to happen, or build another one.
See, for me, it's obvious what you should do. It should be staring you in the face. You need to
What?
build
An R5.
your aluminium R2
Yeah,
to your standard.
yeah,
Take your time.
yeah.
And then you need to take your dome off your R2, put the celebration one on it, and that is the full celebration droid.
I actually still have the other celebration parts. Because it wasn't just the dome; it was other parts that I changed.
That's what I think I'd be doing.
They're in a box, not displayed. You put in ideas in my head.
I think that's what you should
I
do.
hope Lisa's not watching this podcast.
Because then it's everything, isn't it? It's the original build and it's the celebration fame.
Yeah.
Shall we use that word?
Almost famous, right? That was the moment where the R2 builders talk to Kathleen Kennedy, which was me, like Oliver and me, and saying, if you need anyone, we're available. And then there's that picture of Oliver, Kathleen Kennedy, and me in the next celebration, like, book that they put out, like the souvenir magazine or whatever it is, like the program, which has us, and it says that's where it all started. That's where the R2 builders approached Kathleen Kennedy, and that's where it went from. And then they didn't call me. They called obviously the guys here in the UK, which is probably for the better, because that was when I was unknowingly suffering from cancer, and knowing how stressful the days on set were, because I was talking to Oliver about it. That probably would have literally killed me at that point. But yeah, that was my bittersweet, almost famous moment. So putting it like that, should I put that droid on display? That reminds me of that. I don't. But yeah, that's something. That's food for thought right there.
That killed the mood. Nice one, Rob.
And
you know what he's like.
and
I'll be dead next week.
you could try and make the aluminium one lighter. So if there is a fire, you're going to be able to pick it up and take it out.
Or make it more robust so you can throw it out the window.
Yeah, that's
Fit the
probably,
rockets.
that's probably the better idea.
Okay.
Because lighter, it's not going to be lighter. No way. Because the old one is mainly wood, which isn't that
heavy wood. It's that MDF, that really heavy.
No.
MDF wood that's taken in all that moisture over them 20 years.
Well, I'm pretty sure the aluminium one is going to be a lot heavier.
Probably. Yeah.
Even heavier.
You got steel feet or?
Steel feet.
Oh, it is.
Yeah.
That's going to weigh
Those
a ton.
alone just make it a
That's
lot.
going to weigh a ton, but you can probably roll it down the stairs and it'd be all right.
Probably. I actually saw one of the droids at R2LA from Kenobi. The prop master of Kenobi had built for the show, and it's now his. And he also showed me pictures where they took a dome and he just bashed it to shit. Like, really took like, went away with it, and like took a huge pipe and just bashed it on there, put really huge dents in it. And I said his goal was to make a droid that is so used, like it's at the point where it's broken down that far that you'd still consider switching it on, but it's just on the verge of being defunct. And it looked really great, and he had like a little smoke machine in there, so when you drove around there was smoke coming out of the dome and everything. It was brilliant. And the finish on it was like, I rarely say that, because again, I'm a snob, and I think my R2 looks pretty good, the weathering on it and all that. And when I see other builds, loads of them are way too clean, or if they attempt weathering, it looks crap. Sorry, guys. But that one, finished by the production crew, chef's kiss. That was really great. So that was one R2 that really impressed me, which doesn't happen that often, to be honest. But I'm not replicating it.
Right, so how are we doing on time?
We're at an hour 40.
Jesus, what?
What do you want to do? Do you want to try and wrap it up?
Well, as long as we're wrapped up in the next 20 odd minutes, I'm a happy man. As long as you're not going to talk about death.
He'll be dead before he gets them.
That was a good band, though. Death was a good band.
What, sorry?
Death was a good band until the frontman died.
Well, it's going to happen. Well, I don't think we talk about death enough in this country. I don't know about
We talk about
Germany.
you.
It's like a taboo subject and people don't like to talk about it, but it's an inevitability.
It is, but we all push it away.
We do, and then when it happens, it's like the end of the world.
Well, then you can't push it
For
away
everyone else.
anymore. Yeah.
You know, as well. Thanks for coming in, seeing us, making the trip all the way from Germany just to come and sit here and do the podcast.
Always a pleasure.
In the basement.
In the basement.
Yeah,
In the dungeon.
because we're not doing anything later on tonight.
Nope. What I say, Handmaiden at all? Or?
No.
But
I'm actually leaving in a minute.
as
flying
always, Yeah, got the flight booked. As always, it's great to see you.
Absolutely.
We do need to make a trip to Germany.
Yeah. Now realizing that it's been like half a decade,
Yeah,
and I don't know how many times we talked about going to Christmas markets.
your cats were tiny little kittens when we visited.
And now they're big fat monsters.
Yeah.
One of them anyway.
So yeah, we do need to make it. We did talk about Christmas market.
Also, I have to bring it up because Arne's over there. We did the Hot Wings challenge last year,
Yeah.
and I'm pretty sure we said we're going to do another one this year in Germany.
Yeah, you've got to
a
host
like
it.
that.
like a hot sausage
You've
thing.
got to host it. It's like
Sausage.
Hot sausage,
Get
yeah.
in.
Curry sausage.
Eurovision wing
Currywurst.
contest. That's what it is.
Eurovision wing contest.
Yeah.
But it wouldn't be wings.
Well,
You
like-
would-
so like
you'll be,
fat
it'll be raw mince.
No,
Easy.
don't do.
That's
no.
easy. Nice.
I don't know how you can eat that.
Well, just pick it up and put it in your
Yeah,
mouth.
yeah, just put it in your mouth.
That's what Paul says.
It's that easy.
Yeah, but he couldn't do it.
Yeah.
So the studio is now making even more noise. So maybe we should wrap it up. If people are listening to this, they'll be thinking, "What's going on?"
Sure, yeah.
It is. We are a working studio still, and we're in the basement, and people upstairs making a lot of noise. Well, thanks for coming over and talking to us
always a
about
pleasure.
collecting and costuming.
And costuming. Although we derailed it quite a bit, as you said.
That's what we're here for.
It's what we want.
Yeah, we'll get you going, and then
Fluff you
There's
up.
also like certain patterns of thought that we didn't really follow through on, I think. But
like what?
The less
that'll
following
be
through,
that'll
the
be all
better.
that'll be all down to Clarky trying to make sense of what we all.
Oh, we don't make
Put on
sense of
paper.
it. No, this is just how it goes.
Yeah.
There's no editing, unless you use a word that you're not allowed to say.
Like
You're just gonna have to bleep that one out. So yeah. Until next time. Thanks for coming over. Nice to see you, Simon,
And you,
and Anna. Oh,
Anna. Good luck with the wedding plans.
yeah. Is that still happening?
Bloody hope so.
No, just checking.
Oh.
Otherwise, you were touching a nerve there, weren't you? Maybe bring it
Well,
up.
if you just edit it like that, what he's just said.
I was trying to not bring it up in case anything had changed, unless you mentioned it himself. That's what I like to do.
I'd already spoke to him about it.
Subtlety.
I like how Rob's classing is not caring about people's lives as subtlety.
No, you don't want to bring it up, do you?
No, but you don't usually ask anyone anything, so that's like you're passing that off as subtlety. When in actual
Yeah, I
fact,
wait for them
you're
to.
like someone's talking, going, "Oh, I'm getting married, I'm getting engaged," and you're thinking, "What am I having for lunch today?"
Yeah.
No, I
yeah.
wait for people to bring it up.
And then
You
ignore
don't
them.
want to.
Yeah.
You don't want to open a can of worms, do you?
So, what are you looking forward to at Maiden tonight? Dinner.
no, definitely not dinner.
Yeah.
Well,
What are we doing for dinner?
Don't know.
whatever.
Yeah, but whatever.
Well, we're gonna go see Maiden.
Just to apply your logic to this, Rob, you don't need to worry about that because it's not time yet. This is exactly what you said the other day.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's today, so now it's in the forefront of my mind because I'm going to have some lunch,
Yeah.
and then we're going to have dinner.
Yeah.
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 So I need to plan what I'm going to eat at lunch because then,
That's
you know.
What do you want
so
to do?
Mexican,
fun with Mexican.
not the raw
mince.
mince. You can
don't eat that here, though.
You can do that. You can do that if you want.
I'm trusting your.
I like cooked
Are we
chicken.
going into town?
Yeah, Northern Quarter.
Okay.
I'm going to press this big red stop button.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.